And continuing from the last movie, let's go look at the count function. Here we're going to count all the rows from the category table. And here we're going to count all the rows from the category table, but this time we're going to use a specific column. And this is an interesting one. It finds fewer rows. Why? Because this column is indexed, and this count function will read this index. Run this query again, hit explain plan, and it tells me it runs the count on this index. There are 4 parent ID values or rows in this category table with null values in the parent ID. Null values are not indexed, so it will only count rows that don't have nulls. Thus it loses 4 rows. 4 parent IDs are null, only finds 30 rows. I can tell it to read like this, and it will read 34 rows because the function of NVL parent ID, 0, close bracket, is not indexed, only the parent ID is, so it will read all the rows this way, and it will not ignore the null values. This will read 30 rows because it reads that index, and it's just finding the average of the parent ID, which is actually 1, 2, 3, 4 times the number of iterations of each one divided by whatever it is. And this should find a slightly different value because it's now finding the null values and replacing them with 0. If I check this query again and run an explain plan, this will read the foreign key index. This will either read the primary key or a full table scan. Does a full table scan. I think this one, let's have a look. This reads the primary key. A count function will try to read an index if it can. In other words, because it's faster. And here again we're selecting rows and counting the rows from the show table. There are no nulls in the show ID. Here we're going to use the count function to do a group by clause summary on the act ID. So we're going to find total shows for all acts. So Act 1 does 4 shows, Act 22 does 1 show, Act 25 does 2, and so on and so forth. So we're summarizing by act. Here's another one where we're actually grouping by summarizing by act, and then we're actually ordering by the count of shows in ascending order. So if we scroll down to here, we'll find that Act 49 has 15 shows, and up the top Act 22 has 1. We could even do this and do it in descending order and find the most frequent shows at the top. So Act 48 does a lot of shows, in my database anyway. And once again we've got count shows, group by, select act. All I'm doing here is I'm changing the name of the header. And now a little bit further in the count function, I'm going to join 2 tables together. In fact, I'm joining 3 tables, and I'm grouping by 2 values, the venue and the act, and giving a count of each show. So here's the venue, here's the act, and then I'm giving a count of each act or each show for each act in each venue. So the tale of the allergist's wife appears 15 times in the current theatre in my database. Next examples, min, max, and sum. Min value, max value, sum value. I've just included all the functions in one simple example of a join, and we have the average ticket price, the minimum price, the maximum price, and the sum of the whole lot. It's pretty simple. They are simple summary functions.